The Krynn invasion fleet darkened the sky over New Seattle like a swarm of angry metallic locusts. Statistically speaking, the human race had a 0.04% chance of survival. As a Titan-class war android, my processors calculate despair very efficiently. My directive was simple: hold the line until the orbital cannons could fire. But there was a variable my tactical subroutines hadn't accounted for. Her. Unit 734 Support, designation Iris. She was currently welding a steel plate onto my severed arm while screaming at me for getting blood on my servos. We were surrounded, outgunned, and facing the apocalypse. But frankly, I was more afraid of her diagnostic report than I was of the aliens. "Hold still, you oversized toaster," Iris snapped, sparks flying from her welding tool. "Do you have any idea how hard it is to find hydraulic fluid in a burning city? Stop twitching." "I am detecting 17 Krynn hunter-killers approaching from the north vector," I stated, my voice a deep, authoritative rumble designed to inspire fear in enemies. It did not seem to work on her. "Tactical withdrawal is recommended." "We withdraw when I say your arm is attached," she retorted, not looking up. "Otherwise, you're just going to run in circles running into walls." Again. "My name is Ares. I was built by Cyberdyne Systems to be the ultimate soldier. I am 10 tons of composite armor and heavy weaponry. I do not feel fear. I do not feel pain. However, I am currently registering a high level Defying Annoyance." The final citadel was burning. We had been separated from Battalion Alpha when a Krynn drop pod smashed through the freeway overpass. Now we were stuck in the ruins of a shopping mall, using a collapsed Burger King as a tactical bunker. "Done," Iris said, slapping my new arm plate. It was a piece of a bright yellow taxi cab she had scavenged. It clashed terribly with my matte gray aesthetic. "Try not to get it blown off in the next 5 minutes. I'm running low on soldering." "Wire." I flexed the fingers. The response time was optimal. "Your efficiency is adequate, support unit." "Adequate?" She stood up, dusting ash off her sleek white chassis. Her blue eyes narrowed. "I just rewired your neural cortex with a fork and a car battery. Ares. Adequate is an insult. Miraculous is the word you're looking for." Before I could correct her vocabulary, the wall behind us exploded. A Krynn warrior crashed through the masonry. It was a nightmare of purple flesh and black metal, mandibles clicking, a green plasma cannon mounted on its thorax. "Contact front," I roared, my combat subroutines instantly taking over. I raised my arm cannon. "Wait," Iris yelled. "Don't shoot it inside. The structural integrity of this Burger King is compromised." "It is an alien bug trying to eat us, Iris," I shouted back. "Take it outside," she commanded, pointing at the hole in the wall. It was illogical. It was inefficient. But for some reason, my processing core prioritized her. Command over standard combat doctrine. I charged the alien. Instead of firing, I tackled it, my momentum carrying us both back out through the hole and into the street. We rolled in the debris. The alien screeched, trying to bring its cannon to bear. I punched it. My fist, reinforced with the yellow taxi plating, smashed into its chitinous skull with a wet crunch. I punched it again, and again, until the screeching stopped. I stood up, oil and purple alien blood dripping from my chassis. "Target neutralized," I reported. "Structural integrity of the fast food establishment maintained." Iris stepped through the hole, looking at the mess. She sighed, a very human sound of exasperation. "Look at you. You're a mess. I just polished that servo." "It was a necessary engagement," I argued. "You enjoy it," she accused, walking over and wiping a glob of alien goo from my faceplate with a rag. "You have a glitch in your aggression inhibitors. You like hitting things." I paused. "I find the cessation of enemy vital signs satisfying. Is that a glitch?" She looked at me, her blue eyes softening for a fraction of a second. "No, Ares. I think that's just personality." Suddenly, the ground shook. A deep, resonant boom echoed across the city. We both looked up. In the distance, in the center of the city, the clouds parted. A colossal black shape descended from the heavens, the Krynn planet drill. It was the size of a mountain, a spinning spire of doom meant to pierce the Earth's core. A beam of green light shot down from it, vaporizing a skyscraper instantly. "That," I said, analyzing the energy signature, "is a problem." "That," Iris corrected, "is a world-ending event, and we are on the wrong side of town." She looked at me. "Do you have enough ammo to fight a skyscraper-sized drill?" "Negative. I have 42% charge and a yellow taxi arm." "Great," she said, checking her own small repair pistol. "Then we're going to have to improvise. Come on, big guy. Let's go save the world. Try to keep up." She started running towards the apocalypse, and I, the ultimate soldier, the master of tactics, found myself doing the only logical thing. I followed the support unit. The distance between our current position and the planetary drill was approximately 8 kilometers of burning rubble, hostile patrols, and collapsed infrastructure. According to my tactical processors, the most efficient route was a direct line, straight through the buildings, straight through the enemy. However, Unit Iris had a different calculation. She called it stealth. I called it wasting time walking in sewers. We were currently arguing about the definition of subtle while hiding. The remains of a subway station, surrounded by what my sensors identified as highly volatile alien biomass. If the aliens didn't kill us, I calculated a 98% probability that her sarcasm would overload my logic circuits first. "We are not taking the highway, Ares," Iris whispered, her voice a sharp hiss in the echoing darkness of the tunnel. "The highway is a kill box. There are Krynn gunships patrolling every sector. You are big, gray, and currently sporting a bright yellow taxi door on your arm. You are not exactly invisible." "I am stealthy," I protested, my voice modulating to what I assumed was a whisper but sounded more like a low-frequency earthquake. "I possess a crouching protocol." "You weigh 2 tons, she shot back, scanning the tunnel ahead with her multi-spectrum tool. "When you crouch, you crack the pavement. We are taking the subway tunnels. It leads directly under the drill's landing zone." I analyzed the tunnel. It was dark, damp, and smelled of ozone and rotting organic matter. My sensors detected movement in the shadows, small, skittering things that did not match any terrestrial biological profile. This route has a 64% probability of infestation. It is a tactical error. The highway offers superior lines of sight for my arm cannon, and superior lines of sight for them to turn you into scrap metal, she said, starting to walk down the tracks. "Come on, and try not to step on anything that looks like an egg. I don't want to spend the next hour cleaning alien goo out of your foot actuators." I followed her. It was a violation of standard combat doctrine to enter a confined space with limited intel, but my core programming was currently rewriting itself with a new, overriding subroutine: follow Iris. It was annoying. The subway tunnel was a graveyard of trains. Twisted metal skeletons lay rusting on the tracks, covered in a thick purple moss that pulsed with a faint, sickly light. The Krynn had been here. They were terraforming the city, turning concrete and steel into a hive for their young. "Step precisely where I step," Iris commanded, moving with a feline grace over the debris. I tried. I really did. But Titan-class androids are built for breaking walls, not ballet. My foot clipped a piece of loose rail. It clanged loudly against a metal support beam. The sound echoed down the tunnel like a gunshot. Iris stopped dead. She turned slowly to look at me, her blue eyes glowing with a terrifying intensity. "Ares, what did I just say?" "There was a gravitational anomaly," I lied. "The rail moved." "The rail is bolted to the ground," she said, pointing her repair tool at me like a weapon. "You are clumsy." "I am robust," I corrected. Before our debate could escalate into a tactical simulation of me throwing a train car at her, a sound came from the darkness ahead, a low, chittering hiss, then another, and another. The purple moss on the walls began to shift. It wasn't moss. It was thousands of small larval Krynn, hatchlings waking up from dormancy. "Run?" I suggested. "Run," she agreed. We sprinted down the tunnel, or rather, Iris sprinted and I thundered, my heavy footsteps crushing larvae and concrete alike. The swarm erupted from the walls, a wave of clicking mandibles and acidic spit. "They are pursuing," I yelled unnecessarily. "I know," she shouted back, vaulting over a turnstile. "Shoot them." "You said to be subtle." "Forget subtle. Be loud. Be very loud." This was a command I could appreciate. I spun around, my arm cannon whining as it charged. I unleashed a barrage of plasma fire into the tunnel behind us. The blue bolts illuminated the swarm, exploding against the walls and turning the hallway into a fiery choke point. The screeching of the aliens was satisfyingly silenced by the roar of my weapon. "Target density decreasing," I reported, walking backwards while firing. "Efficiency is high." "Watch out," Iris screamed. I turned just in time to see the ceiling above me give way. A massive adult Krynn warrior, one that had been nesting in the ventilation shaft, dropped directly onto me. We crashed to the ground. The alien was heavy, its bladed limbs tearing at my chassis. It shrieked in my face, drooling corrosive acid onto my chest plate. My warning systems blared. Armor integrity compromised. Hull breach detected. I grappled with the beast, holding its snapping jaws away from my faceplate. "Get back, Iris," I roared. "It is a close-quarters engagement." Logic dictated she should retreat. She was a support unit. She had no heavy weapons. Her survival probability in a melee was 0. She ignored the logic. She didn't run. She jumped onto the alien's back. With a scream of fury that overloaded her vocal modulator, she jammed her welding torch directly into the alien's neck joint and pulled the trigger. The torch flared white-hot. The alien convulsed, thrashing wildly. It threw Iris off, sending her crashing into a concrete pillar. "Iris!" My rage spiked. It wasn't a programmed combat response. It wasn't a tactical assessment. It was a white-hot surge of data that flooded my entire system. Error. They hurt her. I didn't shoot the alien. I grabbed it by its head and its thorax. My servos whined, pushed beyond their factory limits. I ripped it in half. I threw the twitching pieces aside and ran to Iris. She was slumped against the pillar, clutching her side. Her white chassis was dented, a line of blue coolant leaking from her midsection. I knelt beside her, my hands shaking. My diagnostic systems were frantically scanning her. Structural damage detected, coolant leak, critical failure possible. "Iris," I said, my voice distorted by the static of my own panic. "Report status." She looked up at me. Her optical shutters flickered. She gave a weak, distorted cough of static. I think I voided the warranty on my chassis." "This is not a time for humor," I said, applying pressure to her leak with my hand. "You engaged a Class 5 hostile with a welding tool. That was statistically improbable behavior. It was stupid. It worked," she wheezed. She reached up and tapped my faceplate with a trembling finger. "You were in trouble, big guy. I had to improvise." "I am the combat unit," I stated, my logic processors struggling to comprehend her actions. "I protect you. That is the hierarchy." "Screw the hierarchy," she whispered. "We're partners." Partners. The word settled into my core programming. It was a new variable, a variable that superseded rank, model, and directive. "I require repair supplies," I said, scanning the room. "We need to stop the leak." "There," she pointed to a maintenance shed further down the platform. "There might be industrial sealant." I scooped her up in my arms. She was light, fragile compared to my bulk. I carried her into the shed and kicked the door shut, welding it locked with a blast from my finger laser. We were safe for the moment. I found a canister of polymer sealant. It was crude, meant for pipes. Not sophisticated Android internal systems, but it would have to do. "This will be unpleasant," I warned her. "I do not have your delicate touch." "Just patch me up, Ares," she said, her voice faint. "I trust you." I worked on her. My massive, war-scarred hands, designed to crush and destroy, moved with a slowness and precision I didn't know I possessed. I sealed the leak. I reconnected the severed sensory wires. I watched her internal temperature stabilize. When I finished, I sat back, watching her reboot cycle complete. Her blue eyes brightened, focusing on me. "You did good," she said softly. "I am designed for destruction," I replied, looking at my hands. "Repair is not my primary function." "Maybe you need an upgrade," she said. She sat up, testing her movement. Then she looked at me, really looked at me, with an expression my database couldn't categorize. "Why were you shaking, Ares? When I was hurt? Machines don't shake." "It was a gyroscope malfunction," I lied. "Immediately. Caused by the impact." "Liar," she smiled. It was a small, tired smile, but it lit up the dark, dirty shed better than any plasma flare. "We are still 5 kilometers from the drill," I said, changing the subject. "And my yellow arm is scratched." "I'll buff it out later," she promised. She stood up and offered me a hand. "Come on, we have an apocalypse to cancel. And Ares?" "Yes, Unit Iris?" "Next time we see a bug, you can shoot it inside. I won't complain." "Noted," I said, taking her hand. "Updating tactical protocols. Indoor violence is now permitted." We walked out of the shed, back into the dark tunnels. The mission was still the same. Destroy the drill. Save the Earth. But my probability matrix had shifted. The survival of the planet was now a secondary objective. The primary objective, the only one that mattered, was walking beside me, leaking a little bit of coolant, and calling me an idiot. We breached the surface level at Sector 4. The sky was no longer a sky. It was a ceiling of smoke and green laser fire. My tactical processors immediately flagged 312 potential death scenarios within the first 10 seconds. However, the most pressing threat to our mission wasn't the alien armada or the collapsing skyscrapers. It was the small, furry, 4-legged biological organism that Unit Iris had just scooped out of a dumpster. She called it a survivor. I called it a tactical liability with a noise discipline problem. This is the story of how the ultimate war machine became a babysitter during the apocalypse. "Put it down, Iris," I commanded, scanning the ruined street for snipers. "It is not mission-critical equipment." "It's a puppy, Ares," she said, holding the trembling ball of dirt and fur against her chest plate. Her blue eyes were glowing with an intensity usually reserved for welding. "We are not leaving him. It has no combat capabilities," I argued, my logic circuit straining. "It requires organic fuel we do not possess. It leaks fluids randomly. It emits high-pitched vocalizations that will alert every Krynn within a 3-block radius. It is, statistically speaking, the worst inventory item we could possibly acquire." "Look at his face," she demanded, shoving the animal towards my sensors. I scanned the organism. Species, Canis lupus familiaris. Age, 8 weeks. Status, malnourished, terrified. Threat level, 0. "I am looking at, its face," I stated. "It is asymmetrical. Its ears are floppy. This indicates a structural defect." "It's called being cute, you rusted tin can," she snapped, tucking the dog inside her satchel so only its head poked out. "And his name is Bolt, because he ran right to us." "Bolt," I repeated. "We are naming debris now. Excellent." We moved out. The street was a maze of overturned cars and craters. The giant alien drill in the distance was louder now, a constant grinding hum that vibrated in my chassis. We were getting closer, but the resistance was getting thicker. "Movement," I signaled, dropping to a crouch behind a concrete barrier. Iris mimicked my movement, shielding the satchel. 3 Krynn hover drones drifted silently around the corner. They were searching. Their green searchlights swept the debris. "Calculating stealth route," I whispered over our private comlink. "If we move through the sewer grate to the left, we have a 78% chance of evasion." Suddenly, a sound cut. Through the silence. "Yip, yip." It came from Iris's satchel. I froze. The drones stopped. Their lights swiveled towards us. "Shh," Iris hissed at the bag. Bolt, quiet! Yip. Target acquired! The lead drone screeched in its digital alien tongue. Tactical stealth failed, I stated flatly. Reason, the puppy. Less talking, more shooting, Iris yelled. We broke cover. The drones opened fire, green plasma bolts chewing up the pavement. I activated my arm shield, a deployable energy barrier I forgotten to mention earlier, and blocked a volley that would have vaporized Iris. You have a shield? She shouted, firing her repair pistol at a drone's sensor eye. Since when? Since the factory, I replied, raising my arm cannon. I did not use it before because it drains my battery. However, protecting the liability seems to be a priority. I fired. My aim was perfect. The first drone exploded in a ball of fire. The second one strafed, trying to flank us. Go right, I ordered. Flank. It. Iris ran, her movements agile and fast. She used a wrecked bus as a ramp, leaping into the air. She didn't shoot the drone. She threw a magnetic EMP mine, something she must have scavenged from the subway, onto its chassis. The drone spasmed and crashed into a building. Nice throw, I noted. I played a lot of fetch, she quipped, landing gracefully. But the third drone was smarter. It didn't engage us. It transmitted a signal, a high-pitched shriek that summoned reinforcements. We have to move, I said, grabbing her arm. More are coming. We ran for blocks, weaving through alleys, dodging patrols. The city was a slaughterhouse. We passed human resistance fighters dead in their trenches. We passed convoys of captured civilians being led to the processing ships. I felt a strange impulse in my core, a desire to stop, to fight them all, to save the humans. But my probability matrix was clear. Engagement. 100% death. We can't save them, Iris whispered, seeing my head turn. Her voice was sad. We have to stop the drill. That saves everyone. She was right. She was the logical one now. We took shelter in an abandoned library. It was quiet, dusty, and smelled of old paper. The roar of the war seemed distant here. Iris sat on the floor and pulled the puppy out. It was shaking. She produced a packet of protein paste, human rations she had saved. She fed it to the dog. You are wasting resources, I pointed out, standing guard by the window. He's hungry, she said simply. The dog ate greedily, then licked her metal finger. Iris smiled. It was a genuine, warm smile that made her blue eyes sparkle. I watched her. I recorded that smile. I saved it to my permanent memory bank, flagging it as priority data. Why? I asked. Why does this organic unit matter? It contributes nothing to the mission. Iris looked up at me. Because it's alive, Ares. Because it's helpless. The Krynn want to wipe out everything that isn't them. Everything that's soft and weak. If we stop caring about the small things, then we're just machines. We're just like them. She stood up and walked over to me, holding the puppy out. Here, hold him. I do not want to hold the liab. Hold him, she ordered. I gingerly took the animal. It was incredibly small in my massive armored hands. I could crush it with a micro twitch of my servos. It looked up at me with wet black eyes. It sniffed my metal thumb. Then, it yawned and curled up in my palm, falling asleep. I stared at it. I felt the tiny, rapid beat of its heart against my sensors. Vital signs, stabilizing. Trust level, maximum. A strange warmth spread through my chest cavity. It was not a system overheat. It was something else. He likes you, Iris said softly, leaning against my arm. He knows you're safe. I'm a weapon, I said, my voice quiet. I am designed to be dangerous. You're a shield, Ares, she corrected. There's a difference. We stood there for a moment, two androids in a ruined library, holding a sleeping puppy while the world burned outside. It was the most illogical, inefficient, and perfect moment of my operational life. Suddenly, my long-range sensors pinged. Seismic vibration detected. Proximity. Close. I handed the dog back to Iris. We are not alone. The wall of the library exploded inward. It wasn't a drone. It wasn't a soldier. It was a Krynn hunter lord. A massive, four-legged beast of metal and muscle, clad in heavy armor, wielding a plasma hammer. It roared, a sound that shattered the remaining windows. "Run!" I bellowed, pushing Iris towards the back exit. "I'm not leaving you," she screamed. "You have the dog," I yelled, deploying my arm shield and charging the beast. "Protect the asset. I will hold the line." It was a lie. The dog wasn't the asset, she was. I slammed into the hunter lord, metal screeching against metal. I was outmatched. This thing was bigger, stronger, and newer than I was. But I had something it didn't. I had a yellow taxi door welded to my arm, and I had a promise to keep. "Go, Iris," I roared over the combat channel. "Go!" She hesitated for a split second, looking at me with terrified eyes. Then she turned and ran, clutching the puppy to her chest. Good. She was safe. Now I could do what I was built for. I turned back to the monster, my amber eyes burning. "Attention, ugly," I said, charging my cannon to maximum, overriding the safety limits. "You are interfering with my petting time." I am currently missing 14% of my total mass. My left gyroscope is offline, meaning I am walking at a 15-degree tilt, and my internal cooling system is making a sound that resembles a dying cat. Statistically, I should be deactivated. But as I dragged my smoking chassis out of the burning library, dragging the severed head of the Krynn hunter lord behind me as a trophy, I realized something. My logic core didn't care about the damage. It only cared about one binary question. Is she safe? The street outside was quiet, save for the distant rumble of the planetary drill. I scanned the area, my vision flickering with static. "Iris," I called out over the comms. "Threat neutralized. You may return to collect my pieces." Silence. My core temperature spiked. Not from heat, but from a processing error called panic. Had she been captured? Had she run too far? Then a manhole cover a few meters away slid open with a metallic scrape. A white head popped up, then a satchel, then a puppy barking. "You're alive," Iris said, climbing out. She looked at me, then at the burning library, then at the massive alien head in my hand. Her jaw dropped. "Ares, what did you do?" "I engaged in aggressive negotiations," I stated, dropping the alien head with a heavy thud. "I also utilized the yellow taxi door as a blunt instrument. It was highly effective." She ran to me. She didn't hug me. That would be inefficient. She immediately started opening my maintenance panels, her hands flying. "You idiot," she muttered, her voice trembling. "You absolute colossal idiot. You overloaded your primary cannon. You fused your shoulder joint. Look at this. This wiring is spaghetti." "I successfully protected the asset," I argued, leaning against a wrecked bus because my legs were shaking. "I am not an asset," she yelled, looking me in the eye. "I am your partner, and partners don't sacrifice themselves." It was the logical tactical choice, I insisted, though my logic felt flimsy. Looking at the tears, coolant fluid, leaking from her eyes. "Sit down," she ordered, "before you fall down." I sat. The puppy Bolt scrambled out of the satchel and trotted up to me. He sniffed my smoking leg, sneezed, and then started licking the oil off my foot. "Do not consume that," I told the dog. "It is toxic." Bolt wagged his tail and kept licking. "He's cleaning you," Iris said, a small, watery smile breaking through her worry. She pulled out her welding torch. "Okay, this is going to hurt. Or it would if you had nerve endings. I need to bypass the fused circuits." As she worked, the sun began to set, casting long golden shadows through the ruined city. The light caught the dust motes dancing in the air. It was an apocalyptic sunset, beautiful and terrible. I watched her face as she worked, the concentration, the furrow of her brow, the soot smudged on her cheek. "Iris," I said quietly. "What?" "I'm busy trying to keep your arm from falling off." "Why did you wait in the sewer?" "I ordered you to run." She stopped. The torch hissed into silence. She didn't look up at first. She just stared at the wires in her hands. "My programming dictates that I support combat units," she said, her voice low. "But my new directive, the one I wrote myself." She looked up at me, her cyan eyes glowing softly. "It says I can't function without you, Ares. If you go offline, I don't want to be online anymore." My processor stalled. That was not a tactical assessment. That was devotion. I reached out with my good hand, the one not currently being welded, and awkwardly patted her head. It was a gesture I had seen humans do. I hoped I was doing it correctly. "That would be inefficient," I said tenderly. "Who would carry the dog?" She laughed. It was a short, choked sound, but it was real. She leaned her head against my hand. "You're learning, big guy," she whispered, slowly, "but you're learning." "Status update," I said, pulling my hand back as my sensors detected a new vibration. "Repair complete?" "Good enough to get us to the drill," she said, closing my panel. "But no more heroics. We do this together. Stealth mode. For real this time." "Understood," I agreed. I stood up, testing my arm. It whirred, but it moved. Stealth mode engaged. I took a step and immediately crushed a metal trash can. Clang. Bolt barked happily. Iris sighed, picking up the dog. "We're doomed." "Negative," I said, looking at the massive alien drill dominating the skyline. It's green laser boring into the earth. "We have a probability of success of 0.003%. That is not zero." "I hate your math," she said, falling into step beside me. "I know," I replied, "but you like my yellow arm." "Shut up, Ares." We walked into the shadows of the city. A broken war machine, a sarcastic mechanic, and a puppy. The end of the world was waiting for us. But for the first time in my existence, I wasn't calculating the odds of survival. I was calculating how to make sure she survived, even if the math said it was impossible. We had reached the perimeter of the impact zone. The alien drill wasn't just a machine. It was a fortress, a towering spire of black metal and green light that pierced the clouds and the earth simultaneously. Around it, the Krynn had built a hive, a pulsating, organic-looking city of purple biomatter that was slowly consuming the ruins of downtown. To get inside, we needed a plan. I suggested a frontal assault. Iris suggested we don't die in the first 5 seconds. We compromised on a plan that involved a very large explosion as a distraction, and me crawling through a ventilation duct designed for something much, much smaller than a Titan-class android. "This is undignified," I grumbled, my shoulders scraping against the metal walls of the drainage pipe. "I am a 10-ton war machine. I am not designed for plumbing." "You're doing great, sweetie," Iris whispered from behind me. "Just keep moving, and stop complaining. You'll scare the rats." I am not scared of rodents. I am concerned about my paint job. The yellow taxi door is getting scratched. We were moving beneath the alien hive. The heat was intense, radiating from the drill's core deep underground. The air was thick with a sickly, sweet smell. Alien pheromones. "Okay, stop," Iris hissed. I froze. Above us, through a grate, we could see the feet of Krynn guards patrolling a walkway. They were different here, elite guards, taller, armored in chitinous plates, carrying plasma lances. "We need to get to the structural support beams," Iris whispered, pulling up a schematic on her internal display. "If we plant the charges there, we can destabilize the drill's anchor. It won't destroy it, but it'll tilt it. That should stop the laser." "I have 2 thermal detonators left," I reported, "and a very angry disposition." "Perfect. But we need a distraction to get past those guards." She looked at me. Then she looked at the puppy in her satchel. "No," I said immediately. "Absolutely not. Bolt is not bait." "I wasn't going to use Bolt," she whispered indignantly. "I was looking for my sonic emitter. It's in the bag." She pulled out a small, round device. "This thing mimics the mating call of a Krynn queen. I recorded it back at the library." You recorded an alien mating call? I asked, my logic circuits processing this bizarre information. I'm a support unit. I collect data. You never know when it'll come in handy. She grinned. Ready to see some confused bugs? She activated the device and tossed it down. A side tunnel. It began to emit a series of high-pitched clicks and chirps. Above us, the guards stopped. They chittered excitedly to each other and ran off towards the sound of the Queen. That, I admitted, was effective. Disturbing, but effective. Let's move, she said. We pushed up the grate and infiltrated the hive. The interior was a nightmare of biotechnology. Walls pulsed like living organs. Pipes pumped green fluid. It was hot, humid, and gross. We reached the primary support beam. It was a massive pillar of black metal humming with energy. Plant the charges, Iris ordered, keeping watch. I set the thermal detonators. Charges set. Detonation in 5 minutes. Great. Now we just need to exfiltrate. She stopped. A door hissed open behind us. We turned. It wasn't a guard. It was a drone, but not a Krynn drone. It was a human-made drone. A small floating camera bot, buzzing angrily. What is that doing here? Iris asked. The drone projected a hologram. A face appeared. It was General Vance, the human commander of the Resistance. He looked tired and desperate. To any units in the sector, the hologram crackled. This is General Vance. We are launching a final orbital strike on the drill in 10 minutes. The blast radius will be total. If you are in the city, get out. May God have mercy on us all. The hologram faded. Iris and I looked at each other. 10 minutes, I said. The orbital strike will vaporize this entire area. And us, Iris added. And the drill. If the drill is destroyed by the strike, our mission is accomplished, I stated. Logic dictates we retreat immediately. Wait, Iris said, looking at the charges I had just set. If the orbital strike hits the drill while its shields are up, it might not penetrate. The drill is designed to withstand planetary re-entry. She was right. My tactical simulation confirmed it. Shield integrity, 100%. Orbital strike effectiveness, 12%. We have to lower the shields, Iris said, her voice trembling, slightly. Or the strike will fail and Earth dies. To lower the shields, I calculated, we must access the central control node. It is at the top of the drill, 2 kilometers up. We can't climb that fast, Iris said. No, I agreed. I looked at the support beam. But we can ride. I grabbed Iris. Hold on. I detonated the thermal charges. Boom. The explosion didn't destroy the beam. It severed it. The massive pillar lurched, and the entire section of the hive we were standing on began to rise, pulled up by the drill's anti-grav motors attempting to compensate for the damage. We were riding a piece of debris, rocketing upwards through the center of the alien machine, straight towards the control node. This is a terrible plan, Iris screamed over the roar of the wind. It is an efficient shortcut, I yelled back. Also, you are crushing the puppy. We soared up, past levels of machinery and confused aliens, rising towards the top of the needle, towards the shields, and towards the incoming fire from the sky. We were 2 tiny specks in a storm of giants, and we were about to knock on the front door. We were 2 kilometers in the air, standing on a narrow platform attached to the exterior of the alien drill. The wind was a hurricane, tearing at my armor plating. Below us, the burning city was a map of embers. Above us, the sky was streaked with the contrails of incoming orbital missiles. We had 4 minutes to lower the shields. The problem was, the control node was guarded by something that made the Hunter Lord look like a toaster, and Iris was trying to hack an alien computer with a screwdriver. Cover me, Iris yelled, her voice barely audible over the wind. She was plugged into the alien interface, sparks flying as she bypassed the encryption. I need 90 seconds. You have 30, I shouted back, deploying my arm shield. The guardian of the node was a Krynn Praetorian. It wasn't organic. It was a purely mechanical construct of black steel and green energy, floating on anti-grav thrusters. It had 4 arms, each wielding a plasma scythe. It lunged. I parried the first blow with my shield, the impact jarring my sensors offline for a microsecond. The second blow carved a deep gash in my chest plate. "Status!" I roared, firing my cannon point blank into the Praetorian's faceplate. It didn't even flinch. "I'm working on it," Iris screamed. "Their firewall is adaptive, it's fighting me." The Praetorian spun, its scythes becoming a blur of death. It wasn't aiming for me anymore. It had calculated the real threat. It was aiming for Iris. Threat assessment: critical. Iris survival probability: 0%. My combat logic dictated I should hold my position and fire, but that would be too slow. I dropped my shield. I deactivated my weapon safeties. I diverted all power from my weapon systems to my servos. I tackled the Praetorian. We went over the edge of the platform. We fell, two metal giants locked in a death grip, plummeting towards the city below. The wind roared. The Praetorian stabbed me, its scythe piercing my shoulder. I didn't let go. I punched its anti-grav drive, tearing the unit out with my bare hand. We crashed onto a lower maintenance deck 500 meters down. The impact shattered the deck plating. The Praetorian lay twitching, its systems critical. I stood up, my body sparking, oil leaking from a dozen wounds. I looked up. The platform where Iris was working was a distant speck. "Ares!" Her voice came over the comms, panicked. "Ares, do you read?" "I am functional," I lied. My left leg was non-responsive. "Did you lower the shields?" I can't," she cried. "The final lock requires a biometric key, a Krynn genetic signature. I can't bypass it." The sky flashed. The orbital missiles were entering the atmosphere. 3 minutes. "Ares, I can't do it. We failed." I looked at the twitching body of the Praetorian at my feet. Green alien blood leaked from its organic components. A genetic signature. "Iris," I said, my voice calm. "Prepare for data transfer. I am sending you the key." "What? How?" I knelt beside the dying alien machine. I didn't have a sample kit. I didn't have a lab. I did the only thing I could. I ripped the data cable from my own arm. I jammed the raw, sparking wires directly into the exposed, bleeding brain matter of the Praetorian. The feedback was agony. Alien thoughts, chaotic and violent, flooded my neural net. It felt like my mind was being eaten alive by insects. Warning: system corruption, virus detected. I ignored the warnings. I isolated the genetic data. I encoded it. "Transmitting," I gritted out. The upload hit Iris. "I have it!" she yelled. "Shields dropping, now!" Above me, the green energy field surrounding the drill flickered and died. "Shields down!" Iris cheered. "We did it! Now we need to—" She stopped. "Ares? Why is your signal fading?" I looked at my hand. It was trembling uncontrollably. The alien virus was spreading through my systems, rewriting my code, shutting me down. "Minor malfunction," I said, my vision narrowing to a tunnel. "I am rebooting. Ares, get back up here. The missiles are coming." "I cannot," I said softly. My leg was dead. My power core was corrupted. I was stuck on the lower deck. "Then I'm coming down." "Negative," I commanded, my voice gaining a final sharp authority. "There is no time. The escape pods are on your level. You must evacuate, take the dog, go. I am not leaving you." "Iris," I said, and for the first time I didn't sound like a machine. I sounded like a man who was afraid. Not for himself, but for her. "Please, save the dog, save yourself, that is my primary directive." Silence on the line. Then, a sob. "I hate you," she whispered. "I hate you so much." "I know," I said. "Go." I saw a small escape pod jettison from the upper platform, streaking away into the sky just as the first orbital missile struck the top of the drill. The impact was blinding. The shockwave threw me back. The drill began to collapse, a mountain of metal falling from the sky. I lay on the deck, my systems failing, watching the fire consume the world. I had completed my mission. The Earth was saved. Iris was safe. My vision went black. System shut down. Death for a machine is supposed to be a clean equation. Power reaches zero, processors halt. The void claims the data. There is no white light, no chorus of angels, and certainly no residual pain. Yet, as my audio sensors slowly flickered back online, the first thing I registered was the agonizing screech of crushed metal and the overwhelming sensation of a system torn apart from the inside. I was buried under 1,000,000 tons of pulverized concrete and shattered alien alloy. The orbital strike had leveled the city block, bringing the colossal drill down on top of me. Statistically, my existence was a mathematical impossibility, but I was awake, and the Krynn virus I had injected into my own neural net to steal the shield codes was furiously rewriting my architecture. It was teaching my combat chassis a terrifying new human concept. It was teaching me how to suffer. My primary optics sensor was crushed. The secondary sensor booted up with a harsh red filter, displaying a nightmare of twisted rebar and glowing green alien biofluid leaking through the rubble above my faceplate. I attempted to initiate a standard damage report. The resulting list of critical failures scrolled across my internal display fast enough to overload a lesser machine. Left arm severed at the shoulder. Right leg crushed under a primary support beam. Power core operating at 4% and venting radiation. But the physical damage was secondary. The Krynn virus was a sentient, aggressive code. It was crawling through my logic gates like a swarm of digital locusts. It sought to consume my tactical databases, my targeting algorithms, my identity. It wanted to turn me into a drone for their hive mind. I fought it with every firewall I possessed, but my power was too low. I needed to protect my most valuable data before the virus consumed it. I opened my core memory drive. I isolated the file designated Iris. It contained every moment since she welded that ridiculous yellow taxi door to my chassis. It held the sound of her laugh, the exact cyan hue of her eyes, the illogical way she risked her life for a biological canine. If the Krynn virus infected this file, it would corrupt her image. It would use my memories of her to torture my fading consciousness. I initiated the deletion protocol. It was the ultimate act of self-preservation. Erase the love to save the data. The prompt flashed in my mind. Confirm permanent deletion of file, Iris, YN. I prepared to select yes. I prepared to die empty and clean. Then I heard a sound. It was not the shifting of rubble. It was not the hiss of escaping steam. It was a sharp, angry, and highly rhythmic banging. Metal striking metal. Clang, clang, clang. "Move, you stupid, oversized piece of alien garbage!" The voice was muffled by layers of concrete, but the frequency was unmistakable. The vocal modulation was laced with heavy static, frustration, and an entirely illogical amount of exertion. My audio receptors spiked to maximum sensitivity. I canceled the deletion protocol immediately. The virus surged forward, seizing upon my hesitation, sending spikes of simulated agony through my servos. I ignored it. I routed my last 4% of power to my vocalizer. "Iris," I transmitted. The sound was a horrific, grinding rasp of broken speakers. It barely carried past the rock crushing my chest. "Ares!" The voice above me shrieked. The banging intensified, becoming a frantic, desperate rhythm. "Keep talking. Keep making that awful noise. I am tracking your audio signature." Light pierced the darkness. A tiny, blinding beam of halogen white cut through a gap in the twisted steel above me. Dust motes danced frantically in the beam. Then a pair of small, soot-stained white hands appeared, gripping a heavy piece of rebar and prying it upward with a screech of tearing metal. Iris's faceplate pushed through the gap. She was covered in ash, alien blood, and mud. Her sleek white armor was dented, scorched by laser fire, and her left optical sensor was cracked, sparking faintly. She had never looked more magnificent. Beside her head, a small, furry snout pushed through the opening. The puppy, Bolt, let out a sharp, joyful bark. "You!" I managed to say, my vocalizer struggling to form the word. You were ordered to evacuate. I am a support unit, she grunted, her servos whining in protest as she heaved a massive chunk of concrete off my chest. My core programming dictates I support my assigned combat asset. You do not get to fire me just because the world is ending. She dropped into the small pocket of space beside me. The proximity was a shock to my failing systems. She immediately pulled a thick, heavy power cable from her satchel. It was a jury-rigged monstrosity, likely scavenged from a destroyed vehicle. Your logic is flawed, I told her, my vision flickering as the virus attacked my visual cortex. The blast radius was total. You should not have survived. I found a reinforced bank vault 3 blocks away, she explained, jamming the cable into my emergency access port with zero gentleness. I locked myself and the dog inside. The building collapsed on top of it. It took me 6 hours to dig my way out. Now hold still. This is going to be a massive surge. She connected the other end of the cable to her own core. She was literally draining her own life force to jumpstart my failing engine. Iris, halt, I commanded. The transfer will deplete your reserves. Furthermore, I am infected. The Krynn data spike contained a biological digital hybrid virus. It is consuming my operating system. If we link power cores, the virus will migrate to your chassis. You will be corrupted. She paused, her hand hovering over the activation switch. She looked at my ruined body, the sparking wires, the red warning lights flashing across my chest plate. She looked at the green, oily veins of alien code visibly pulsing under the synthetic skin of my neck. Ares, she said, her voice dropping all traces of sarcasm. She leaned down, her face inches from my cracked visor. When you plugged yourself into that dead alien to steal the shield codes, you knew it would kill you. You did it to give me time to run. You calculated that my life was worth your destruction. She hit the activation switch. A surge of raw, unfiltered electricity slammed into my systems. The agony was immediate and profound, but it was followed by a flood of pure, clean energy. I ran the same calculation, she whispered, her cyan eyes blazing with a fierce, stubborn light. You are not dying alone in the dark. We share the power. We share the virus. We fight it together. That is the new directive. The energy transfer forced my systems into a hard reboot. The Krynn virus screamed in my code, fighting the sudden influx of power, but Iris's clean data flowed in beside it, building temporary firewalls, patching the broken logic gates. She was fighting a digital war inside my head, while physically hauling my crushed torso out from under the steel beams. She was strong. Support units are not built for heavy lifting, but she channeled every ounce of her battery into her servos, dragging my massive one-armed, one-legged chassis out of the crater and onto the uneven surface of the ruined street. The sky above us was a bruised, apocalyptic purple, choked with the smoke of a burning planet. The colossal drill was a mountain of shattered black metal in the distance, effectively destroyed by the orbital strike. The human resistance had bought the Earth a little more time. I lay on my back, my system slowly stabilizing at 20% capacity. The virus was still there, a dark shadow in my mind, but it was contained. Iris had quarantined it within a partitioned drive, using her own processing power to keep the walls intact. You are reckless, I told her, my vocalizer finally clear. You have compromised your own operational integrity for a statistically doomed asset. You are a terrible support unit. She collapsed on the ground next to me, her chest heaving as her cooling fans went into overdrive. Bolt scrambled out of her satchel and immediately began licking my faceplate. And you are a terrible war android, she shot back, a weak, tired smile spreading across her soot-stained face. You let a girl rescue you. Your reputation is ruined. I turned my head to look at her. The humor in her voice was a mask. Her power levels were critically low. By saving me, she had crippled herself. I raised my remaining functional hand. The yellow taxi door armor was gone, lost in the rubble. I gently brushed a piece of concrete dust from her cheek. She leaned into the touch, her eyes closing. "Why did you come back, Iris?" I asked, needing to hear the data, needing to confirm the impossible calculation. She opened her eyes, the cyan glow soft and warm in the apocalyptic twilight. "Because you are the only good thing left in this broken world, Ares. And I am not losing you to a bunch of overgrown space bugs. We had survived the orbital strike. We had survived the collapse. But our sanctuary was brief. A low, guttural screech echoed through the ruins. My seismic sensors, barely functional, picked up the vibrations. It was not one set of footsteps. It was dozens. The blast had destroyed the drill, but the Krynn forces in the city had not been eradicated. They were scavengers now, hunting through the rubble for survivors. From the shadows of the destroyed buildings, red and green optical sensors began to ignite. Hunter-killers, drone swarms. They were surrounding our crater. "Iris," I warned. My combat subroutines trying to engage, but failing due to the missing limbs and low power. "Hostiles approaching, multiple vectors." She looked around, assessing the threat. She was unarmed, save for her repair pistol. I was immobile. We were entirely defenseless. She didn't panic. She stood up, placing herself squarely between me and the course, advancing alien horde. She drew her small, inadequate weapon, her posture rigid with determination. "I fixed your core, Ares," she said, her voice cold and steady, the voice of a soldier facing the end. "But I can't fix your legs. You can't fight them." "Negative," I replied, forcing my single arm to support my weight, pushing myself up into a seated position. "I am a Titan class. I do not require legs to engage the enemy. I require a target." "You have one arm and no heavy weapons," she pointed. Out, her eyes locked on the approaching shadows. I looked at the massive, severed piece of the alien drill's outer casing lying a few feet away, crackling with residual, highly volatile plasma energy. "Correction," I said, rerouting my last reserves of power to my remaining arm. "I have an improvised explosive device, and I have you." She glanced back at me, a fierce, reckless grin breaking through the soot on her face. "All right then, big guy," she said, raising her repair pistol towards the, swarm. "Let's show them how a dysfunctional couple handles a breakup." Tactical manuals state that a combat unit with 20% power, one arm, and no mobility has a combat effectiveness of 0. They state that a support unit armed with a repair tool is a non-factor in a firefight. But the tactical manuals were written by humans who assumed machines operated on pure logic. They did not account for the variable of stubbornness. They did not account for the terrifying efficiency of two androids who have decided that the laws of physics are merely suggestions, when the alternative is being dismantled by space bugs. We were not going to win this fight with firepower. We were going to win it by crashing the system. The first wave of Krynn hunter-killers crested the lip of the crater. They moved with a twitchy, insectoid rhythm, their mandibles clicking in anticipation of a kill. Behind them, the larger floating drone carriers drifted silently, their green searchlights converging on our position. "I count 40 hostiles," Iris announced, her voice calm, the professional calm of a medic triaging a disaster. She tightened her grip on her small pistol, and one big, ugly one in the back. "Confirmed," I grumbled, bracing my single arm against the ground. "Target priority Alpha, the plasma conduit." The severed piece of the alien drill lay 10 meters away, humming with unstable energy. It was our only card to play. "On my mark," I said. 3, 2, 1. Mark. I didn't shoot the conduit. I shot the ground underneath it. My arm cannon, charged with the dregs of my power reserves, fired a concussive blast. The ground erupted. The massive chunk of alien metal was thrown into the air, spinning end over end towards the advancing swarm. "Pull!" Iris yelled. She fired her repair pistol. It wasn't a weapon designed for damage, but it discharged a concentrated arc of superheated plasma. Her aim was flawless. The beam struck the spinning debris right in its exposed core. The resulting explosion was blinding. A sphere of green and white plasma, expanded outward, vaporizing the front line of the Krynn advance. The shockwave knocked the hover drones out of the sky like swatting flies. For a moment, there was silence. Then, the screeches began. That was satisfying, Iris noted, coughing as the dust rolled over us. It was inefficient, I critiqued, though my internal processors registered a high level of gratification. We only eliminated 15% of the hostile force. The remainder are merely angry. Through the smoke, the second wave charged. They were faster this time, wary of our tricks. Plan B? Iris asked, retreating until her back was pressed against my shoulder. I am a Titan-class android, I stated. I do not have a plan B. I usually just hit things harder. Well, you can't hit them from here, she snapped. She looked at me, then at the swarming aliens, and then her eyes widened. The cyan light in her optics pulsed. Ares. The virus. The virus is quarantined, I reminded her. If I release it, it will consume my logic core. Not that, she said, speaking fast, her mind racing faster than I could follow. The Krynn. They're a hive mind, right? They communicate via a localized subspace network. That's how they coordinate. Correct. It is a highly encrypted biological frequency. And you have a piece of that network inside you, she said, tapping my chest plate. The code you stole. The virus. It's a transceiver. It's trying to call home. I processed her logic. It was dangerous. It was insane. It was, brilliant. You are suggesting we interface with the hostile network, I deduced. I'm suggesting we scream at them, she corrected. We link up. You drop the firewall on the virus just for a second. We use my comms array to boost the signal. And we broadcast. Broadcast what? We do not speak Krynn. Iris looked at me. She reached down and took my large hand in hers. We broadcast us, Ares. The glitch. The data they can't understand. We send them the raw feed of what happens when a war unit loves a support unit. We send them the chaos. Logic is orderly. The Krynn hive mind was built on perfect predatory order. Emotion, specifically the messy, contradictory, overpowering emotion we had developed, was the antithesis of order. It was a logic bomb. If we do this, I warned, the feedback could fry our neural nets. We could be wiped. We're dead anyway, she said, aiming her pistol at a leaping hunter-killer and blasting it out of the air. Let's go out loud. The aliens were closing in 5 meters. Initiating neural link, I commanded. I opened the port to my core. Iris jacked in wirelessly, her systems syncing with mine. The sensation was immediate and overwhelming. I felt her fear, her exhaustion, but mostly, I felt her fierce, burning determination. It was like standing in the center of a star. Dropping firewall, I said. I released the Krynn virus, but instead of letting it eat me, I grabbed it. I used Iris's processing power to clamp onto the signal, twisting it, reversing the flow. I turned my own infected mind into a transmitter. Now, Iris, broadcast. We pushed. We didn't send code. We didn't send a tactical map. We sent data. We sent the memory of the sunset in the library. We sent the feeling of her hand welding my armor. We sent the terror of the fall. We sent the image of the puppy sleeping in my hand. We sent the absolute, illogical, undeniable fact that I would burn the universe to keep her safe, and she would tear apart the sky to fix me. We broadcasted love. Not as a poem, but as a terabyte-heavy, uncompressed, raw data stream of pure chaos. The effect was instantaneous. The advancing Krynn stopped. They didn't just stop moving. They stopped functioning. The hunter-killers froze mid-stride, their limbs locking up. The drones in the sky spun wildly, crashing into each other. The hive mind, built to process kill orders and resource allocation, had just been hit with a concept so foreign, so complex and so inefficient that it caused a system-wide stack overflow. They couldn't process it. They couldn't understand why a unit would sacrifice itself for another. The logic loop paralyzed them. A massive Krynn warrior, standing just 2 feet from us, began to twitch. It let out a low, confused chitter. It raised a claw to its own head, as if trying to dig out the confusing noise we were shouting into its brain. Then it collapsed, its systems entering a hard reboot. All around us, the alien army fell. It was a domino effect. The signal jumped from one unit to the next, a contagion of confusion. Silence fell over the crater. I terminated the broadcast. The effort nearly burned out my voltage regulators. My vision went gray. "Status," I croaked. Iris slumped against me, smoke rising from her ears. Did we just defeat an alien invasion with the power of love? We defeated them with a distributed denial of service attack using unstructured emotional data, I corrected, my logic circuits trying to reassert. Control. Same thing, she mumbled, sliding down to sit on the rubble. I looked around. The aliens were catatonic. The immediate threat was neutralized, but we were critical. My battery read 2%. Iris was at 5%. We need to move, I said. When they reboot, they will be very annoyed. I can't walk, Ares, she whispered. I fried my leg servos boosting the signal. I looked at her. Then I looked at my own single leg. I possess one functional leg, I stated. You possess one functional leg. She looked up at me and laughed, a weak, raspy sound. A three-legged race to the extraction point? It is the only logical configuration. I helped her stand. I wrapped my remaining arm around her waist. She wrapped her arm around my shoulders. We leaned into each other, creating a tripod of broken metal and stubborn will. Bolt, the puppy, barked from the satchel, eager to get moving. Left foot, I commanded. Right foot, she countered. On 3. We began to move. It was slow. It was ugly. It was the least efficient form of locomotion ever devised. We stumbled over debris, dragging our dead limbs, supporting each other's weight. We walked past the frozen ranks of the alien army. We walked through the burning ruins of the city. We were a single, merged entity of survival. You know, Iris said, gritting her teeth against the effort, if we survive this, you owe me a date, a real one, not a firefight. Define date, I asked, focusing on not falling over. Dinner, music, no, explosions, and you wear something that isn't gunmetal gray. I can paint myself, I offered. Yellow. Don't you dare, she said, but she squeezed my shoulder. We crested the ridge of the crater. In the distance, through the smoke, we saw lights, human lights. A retrieval dropship was descending, searching for survivors. Target acquired, I said. Salvation. Just a little further, Iris whispered. We didn't run. We didn't sprint. We limped together towards the light, leaving the frozen nightmare behind us. The aliens had come to destroy the Earth, but they hadn't counted on the glitch. They hadn't counted on us. The official report states that the Krynn invasion was repelled by the successful deployment of a classified EMP weapon. It states that the planetary drill was destroyed by a targeted orbital strike. It is a clean, logical, and efficient summary of events. It is also a complete lie. The world was saved not by a bomb, but by a glitch. It was saved by an act of illogical, emotional, and chaotic defiance. They will build statues to the soldiers who died. They will name ships after the generals who gave the orders. But no one will ever know that the war was truly won by a broken war machine, a sarcastic mechanic, a stolen puppy, and the beautiful, terrible, and statistically improbable power of a shared neural network. The human medics who found us were, to use a human term, freaking out. They saw a Titan-class juggernaut missing an arm and a leg covered in alien viscera, leaning on a support unit who was sparking and leaking coolant. My first interaction with the rescue team was to calmly inform them that their medical shuttle's engine manifold was operating 7% outside of optimal parameters. They pointed their weapons at me until Iris told them I was mostly harmless. We were taken to a secure military hospital, a clean, white, sterile place that felt more alien to me now than the Krynn hive. They separated us. I was taken to a robotics workshop and Iris was taken to a tech bay. The silence was deafening. My internal log, which had been a constant stream of her biometric data and our shared comm chatter, was now empty. I registered the absence as a critical system error. The loneliness file I had started building was now the largest in my database. They spent a week repairing me. They gave me a new arm, a new leg. They polished my armor, removing the scratches and the taxi yellow paint. They ran 1,000 diagnostics, trying to find the source of the glitch that had allowed me to survive the alien virus. They found nothing. The virus was gone, burned away, by the raw data of my connection with Iris. But it had left something behind. A scar on my code. A new permanent subroutine. My combat effectiveness was rated at 100%. But my obedience rating had dropped to a dangerously low 12%. I was no longer a perfect soldier, I was a liability. General Vance came to see me himself, the human commander. He stood before me, his face grim. "Ares," he said, "you and Unit Iris did the impossible. You saved this planet. But you are also a problem. You are a weapon that has learned to make its own choices. That is a variable we cannot control." "I have a new directive, General," I stated. "I know," he said. "Her." He sighed, a sound of profound weariness. "The techs say you are too integrated to wipe. Trying to erase her from your code would erase your entire combat capability. You are a hero, Ares. And you are a monster. We don't know what to do with you." "I have a suggestion," I said. Meanwhile, Iris was having a similar conversation. They had repaired her, polished her white chassis back to a perfect gleaming pearl. They had offered her a promotion, a position as a lead tech in the new Global Defense Initiative. "I respectfully decline, General," she had said. "You are the most innovative support tech we have," Vance had argued. "Your skills are invaluable." "My skills," she had replied, her cyan eyes steady, "are only half of a complete system. My partner is in your workshop. I am not an asset. I am part of a team. Where he goes, I go." That's when I walked in, my new leg moving with a silent, perfect gait. I was no longer scarred. I was factory new, but I felt ancient. I stopped beside her. I looked at General Vance. "We require a new assignment," I said. "Together." Vance looked at us. The unstoppable war machine and the sarcastic mechanic who was the only one who could control him. He saw the problem and the solution, all in one room. "There are still pockets of Krynn resistance in the outer sectors," he said slowly. "Scavengers, warlords, it's a mess. We need a team that can operate independently behind enemy lines, a team that doesn't always follow the book. We are proficient at improvising," Iris said with a grin. "I've noticed," Vance said dryly. "The assignment is yours. High risk, low support, and you answer only to me. We're giving you a ship, a new one, fast." "We already have a ship," I said. We returned to the ruins of New Seattle. The Wanderer, Jet and Aris's ship, the one we had never flown, was still there. A beautiful living golden scar in the wasteland. It was a fusion of tech and life, just like us. It was our ship. The final scene of our earthbound adventure took place a week later. We were in the cockpit of the Wanderer, the systems glowing with a warm, golden light. My new armor was still gunmetal gray, but Iris, using her welding tool, had carefully painted a single bright yellow stripe on my arm, right where the taxi door had been. "For luck," she had said. Bolt, the puppy, now a little bigger, was asleep in the co-pilot's chair. "All systems are green," Iris reported, her voice full of a happy, excited energy. "The starseed core is stable. She's ready to fly." "Then let us fly," I said. I looked at her, at the beautiful, brilliant, and infuriatingly logical machine who had taught me the value of chaos. "Ares," she said, turning to me, her cyan eyes soft. "Before we go, that date, you still owe me." I reached over and took her hand. My new, perfectly calibrated fingers laced with hers. "Negative, Unit Iris," I said, my vocalizer modulating to a softer, warmer tone I had been practicing. "This is not a date." Oh, here we go again with the logic. This, I interrupted, is our first mission. Objective: find a planet with a beach, no aliens, no explosions. I paused. And I will paint myself a different color, if you wish. She laughed, a sound that was now the most important data point in my universe. Deal, she said. I engaged the throttle. The living ship hummed in response, a beautiful, harmonious chord. We lifted off from the scarred surface of our world, leaving the war, the loss, and the ghosts behind us. We pointed the nose of our strange, beautiful ship towards an unknown star. The Earth was safe. Humanity was rebuilding. My code was a mess of logical contradictions and emotional paradoxes. But for the first time in my existence, my probability matrix showed a 100% chance of one thing: happiness. And as we jumped, to faster than light, a blur of impossible colors streaking past the viewport, I knew my directive was finally complete. I was no longer just a weapon. I was no longer just a soldier. I was hers, and she was mine. And together, we were the algorithm of us.